Video game-based series have to overcome a lot of issues if they want to be good anime, as you're cutting out one of the most appealing parts of video games, the gameplay. So you really need to nail down the story, and if you don't have a solid enough base, you're already in trouble. And that's not to say that a solid base is all you need, as you have to have a firm understanding of the pacing of the game's story, and how cutting the gameplay bits between the story points affects said pacing. Then you also have to have the ability to properly adapt the game's story to the episode length that you do have. As if you have too few episodes, you're left blitzing through the story, and that's going to cut out a lot of the important content. Lastly, there's the cast. Some games have sprawling casts, and trying to develop all of them will lead to none of them developing. So I'm looking for careful decisions on what casts are included. So in summary, I'm looking for a solid story, solid pacing, and a solid use of characters. Also, make it look pretty if that isn't too much to ask. But let's pop open this review with Scarlet Nexus, which I haven't played. But I did some research after the fact to check on where, spoiler alert, the anime went wrong, as I remember people being rather positive about the game, but the anime is rather crap. The big issue is that it's stumbling on Hurdle 1, as most people complimented the gameplay over the story. So starting out, you're already subtracting what I assume is the strongest part of the series. However, reviews did mention that there is a lack of variety in enemy types, but like the designs. So as long as you pretty up the fights, then you can turn that weakness around. Unfortunately, the fights are lackluster, at least in my opinion, so that's strike 1. We're now going to skip to point 4, as the reviews mention that there's a big cast of side characters that the player can deepen their bond with and swap out to borrow specific psionic powers, like the strength boost from the Brick House or the speed boost from Miss Sleepy over here. I assume these side stories explain why they follow our mains throughout the story. But their development in the anime is sporadic at best and non-existent at worst. Like, multiple people have connections to the villains and they aren't explored at all. Like, Luca is basically the Pro CD video RPGs of a ton of characters. So that's strike 2. Now for the story itself and its pacing. It sure does have some decent ideas. The world-ending threat being tied to one of the main characters, so whenever they use their powers, the threat grows stronger, is really good. And if you use it in a story where they have to use that power to save others, and have to worry about increasing the threat of their enemy, that'd be really good. I also really like the side plot of the second main character having a debate on how to handle this fact. If the other main character dies, the threat goes away. So do you try and find a way to separate them, or do you just sacrifice them? However, these ideas aren't given time to breathe, as you jump from twist to twist. You go from coup attempts to black hole showing up, then main character B doing the debate on whether they should kill A, to A being labeled a traitor, and he discovers some secret experiments the government's doing. Now, killing A is off the table, no hard feelings remains, like, nah, it's alright that you tried to kill me. We can be friends again. Now we're introducing our third villain, even though we're still need to develop the other two villains. Like, the series is paced way too fast, trying to get through the game's story, meaning that while you do get through it, it weakens a lot of the other parts of the series. And you can't develop the cast while you're at it either. Thus, that is strike 3, meaning I do not recommend this series. There is almost no reason to watch the series, and I assume the game is the best way to experience the story, so play that instead of watching the series. Now for the B side of this review, as we cover the World Ends review. Now to run it through the filter, first up is the base story. The World Ends review tells the story of Neku, a teen who has died. If he wants to live again, he'll have to beat the Reapers game, a challenge where you must make it through an entire week, completing each day's challenges. These challenges are being assigned by the Reapers. These Reapers are looking to make sure Neku and the other individuals in the game fail this game. But only the head Reaper of each game can actually throw down with the challengers, and that's only on the last day. So the other Reapers can summon noise to attack the players. To fight the noise, players must form partnerships with another player to access powers. So if your partner dies, you lose access to the powers, and then you die, thus requiring utmost trust and teamwork to make it to the end. And other than some power struggles among the Reapers for the composer spot, and thus control the Reapers game, that is your lot, and I think it passed muster. But that's helped by the general pacing of each Reapers game. And spoiler alert, there's at least 3 weeks, with each week taking about 4 episodes, as well as good focus on characters as we learn more about each of Neku's partners. Again, I haven't played the game itself, but I'm assuming they're cutting side content to focus on the main story. But I think it uses the length rather well, with my only complaints being that some of the side characters are kinda weak in comparison. Higashi Sawa, the first final boss, isn't really given time to establish himself. I think Konishi suffers a bit as he's sharing time with another villain. As for players, Soda and Now from week 2 aren't getting a lot of time. Also, fights seem to be on the shorter side, but are fine otherwise. But the series does get some bonus points for the style and carrying over the signature look of the game, especially shading and music. So you know what, I'll say that the series is alright. It's at least a good tool to advertise the game and a sequel, as I'm much more likely to play the game now after watching the series, which I can't say for the former. So if you wanted to see some of your favorite moments from the game animated, then you're in luck. But again, I haven't played the game, so I can't tell you whether or not it's a good adaptation. But I enjoyed my time well enough.